Hey y'all, okay, this is our second installment where we talk about geography. Here in this section we're going to talk about geography, kind of how it affects you, location, a little bit more about human-environment interaction. I am going to focus the screen because it seems a little out of focus. I'm just going to focus that, so it's going to look real weird for a second, just, whoa, no you did not just go cross-eyed. Okay, starting off with location. There are two different types of location. There's absolute and relative. Relative is when you say, like, I am near Salyards. Or an absolute location, though, is exact. It gives you coordinates. And I'm just going to say this. I'm just going to say, I'm going to draw a little thing for coordinates here so you kind of know that. We'll put it in brackets. Exact, it's going to give you coordinates. It's not an address. Not an oh no, I always do this. Is it 2Ds or 1D? 2Ds or 1D? As I type it on the computer to see. It is in fact 2Ds. Yay! I know what you're thinking. My teacher doesn't know how to spell address. There are a few words, that you just always struggle with. Address is one for me that I'm just never quite sure. Okay, so it's not an address. Next, for human-environment interactions. Something I saw a lot of on my students' homework for human-environment interaction is I saw a lot of kids wrote when people cut down trees. That's one that makes people go, ooh, people are cutting down trees. That's how they're interacting with their environment. But another thing that they can also do is you can also recycle. Recycle is interacting positively with your environment. Or planting trees. Planting flowers. So there are positive and negative ways that we interact with our environment. The opposite of recycle, you could say we pollute. There's all kinds of things you could say for that one. Now finally, how does geography affect you? For this, I'm going to bring back our regions map because I want to show you something. We live in Texas. Houston is kind of in this general vicinity in Texas. We live close to a body of water called the Gulf of Mexico. This is why we go to Galveston and all of that. Now there is something that a lot of your parents, a lot of parents in this area, there's an industry that they're involved in that requires us being near the Gulf of Mexico. When you think for a second, I'm going to give you guys a couple seconds. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may hum a little ditty. I don't know what I'm going to do. But when you think about what industry could they be involved in that would require them being on the coast. Okay, now that you're sufficiently confused and don't know what I just did, right here, right in this area, this is where Houston is. A lot of your parents work in the oil industry. So oil is something that the people in Texas and these Gulf coastal area in Houston, our geographic location, kind of it impacts the jobs we have here. We have a lot of shipping. We have the Port of Houston. I told my classes last year one time in one of my days of early driving, I was trying to get to, where was I trying to get to? I was trying to get to my sister's apartment, and I accidentally drove, I drove past the ship channel, which, can I just say, is a lot farther away than I needed to go. I was almost an hour out of the way of where I was supposed to be. So essentially, y'all, right in this area, we have trade and oil. And oil. Okay, and actually, I'm going to write it on this page. Trade and oil in Houston. We have a lot of trade and oil in Houston. And here's another thing. If I am driving, okay, getting back my map, I leave Houston and I'm going on my way. I'm driving. Oh, I hit a river. I want you to think for a minute what this river is. I'm giving you 5 seconds. This is the Mississippi River. I have to cross the Mississippi River. Now, this isn't the olden days where I could, just tuck my wheels under and float across the river. We don't do that anymore. It's kind of fairly cool as that sounds. We don't do it anymore. So, what I would have to do is cross something. What would I usually cross? What is there usually around here? Okay, if you said bridge, you are correct. You cross bridges to get over. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but when I was little, my parents always used to be like, "Stop! Everyone look out the window! We're crossing the Mississippi! Everybody!" As we're driving to Disney, when all I really cared about was watching the movies that were on the TV as we drove. So that's a little tidbit about me. Okay, next. Okay, we're going to talk about primary and secondary sources. So take a minute. If you want to write that down, you can. I'm going to take a picture of it and post it on the website, but there it is. Okay, next. I'm going to write with blue, since I haven't been able to write with blue this whole time. Primary versus secondary. Okay. Yay, okay, that's fairly upright. Okay, primary versus secondary, as far as sources go. Okay, primary. Whoa. A primary source is an eyewitness. It's from someone who was there. So you have to think a tweet, Facebook post, a diary, that was a popular one, an autobiography. Next, a secondary source. Oh, I almost spelled secondary wrong. Secondary is a second-hand account. It's from someone who heard it from someone else. So it's a second-hand account. The person was not there, but maybe they heard it from somebody. So this would be like in a textbook. None of the people who wrote our textbooks, for the most part, I don't believe, unless there's some really mysterious thing going on at Glencoe, but I'm pretty sure none of those people were alive during the Civil War. So they wrote our textbook. When we talk about newspapers, we will generally consider a newspaper article a secondary source. Newspaper would be a secondary source. A biography. A biography is a secondary source. My goodness, my mind just goes blank at the end of the day. Generally a book written about it. News articles, magazine articles, website articles, all that stuff. Check out primary versus secondary. This is what you need to know for your quiz. Have a great rest of your night. Bye, y'all.